Hi folks, great to have you back. I'm Z from Freemius, and in this video we'll discuss the different ways you can incentivize users to give you high quality feedback and how to prioritize development tasks based on the feedback you get. As a WordPress product developer, you'll spend days, months, and even years crafting your plugin or theme before you finally own a software masterpiece for all users to cherish. If this is what you're aiming for, you need to get your product into the hands of users, ask for their feedback, continuously improve the code, user interface, and add new features to accommodate their needs. Throughout this process, you should ask yourself, how do I prioritize certain development tasks over others? And in search for an answer to this question, you might want to reach out to someone for guidance. Well, how about asking your users themselves? Setting yourself and your team members aside, your users are the main group of people involved with your product. They gain the most from its strengths, and they are the ones struggling with its flaws. So putting yourself in their shoes is what will give you the most accurate perspective on how to prioritize the ongoing developing of your product. The only problem is a majority of users are generally indifferent to their own user experience. Most of them just want your software to do something for them and move on. Even if users have a poor experience, it usually doesn't upset them enough to provide any feedback at all. If they have a bad experience, they'll typically uninstall the product and go with the competition instead. This also explains why most voluntary feedback comes from people who are either really upset with your product or extremely pleased with it. In both cases, free user feedback is emotion-driven and unlikely to be useful. In today's digital product industry, crowdsourcing ideas for feature development is by no means a new methodology. Some product companies will offer a beta program giving users free early access to features in return for feedback. Other companies will ask existing users to participate in the usability testing session in return for a free license, or even straight out pay their users to take part in a focus group or a survey. When it comes to WordPress products, the type of incentive should mostly depend on the audience at hand. As a rule of thumb, a cash incentive or a discount is surely going to bump up response rates, even if it's just a $5 incentive. Furthermore, a cash incentive is far more effective than a chance to win a prize. In fact, according to this research by Stanford, despite what you may think, raffles don't have a significant impact on user response rates at all. So, suppose you've incentivized users to give you their feedback and it worked. What's next? How do you aggregate this data? When collecting feedback for a specific reason, like changing a product's user interface, it's best to sample a relatively large number of users. This way you can compare the different feedback, see which issues are recurring, and learn how different users suggest to solve them. This calls for tools that pave the way for a scalable feedback channel. I'm going to mention only two tools that match especially well with the open and sharing spirit of the WordPress community. The first tool I'm going to mention is Trello. Trello will help you streamline the feedback process by allowing users to publicly float ideas for new features. You can think of this as an interactive version of your product's roadmap. To start the process, email users a request for feedback with a link to your Trello board. In the title of the email, mention the incentive you're willing to offer them, and if you plan the incentive according to the value perceived by users, the board should slowly fill up with worthy suggestions. The other tool I'll mention is called Simple Feature Requests. This tool is available for free on the WordPress.org repository and also has a pro version. Simple Feature Requests aims to make it easier for WordPress product creators to prioritize which features should be included in their development. It allows users to suggest features and upvote or comment on feedback submitted by other users. When collecting feedback from users, it's also a good idea to collect their email addresses. This way you can follow up with them when you develop a feature they're interested in. Using an email marketing tool like MailChimp will help you contact users when a new feature is released. This helps creating new users, hopefully leading to more sales and more feedback. So, now that you've incentivized users to give you their feedback and have a scalable way of organizing it, how do you use this information? My suggestion is to grade and prioritize user feedback into 4 easy-to-manage categories. Immediate, for feedback that's easy to implement and adds significant value to users. Soon, for suggestions that require a bigger investment to implement but may give you a competitive edge in your market. Later, for ideas that are difficult to implement and are less likely to result in a lot of added value. And maybe one day, for ideas and suggestions that don't fit into your product's current roadmap and are therefore unlikely to be implemented. In any case, avoid rejecting users' feedback altogether, because in some cultures, that's perceived as offensive. It's better for your relationship with users to generally accept their input, because you can always avoid promising to develop a feature if you don't think it should be prioritized. Another way to have users more engaged in this process is to let them rank the community suggestions themselves. And you don't even need to provide a complicated upvoting mechanism to do this. A simple like or dislike counter should provide a bird's eye view of your overall user feedback board. In all likelihood, users will have lots of great ideas. However, you'll need to keep the roadmap focused on the real pains and must-have features, relevant to at least 80% of users. If you don't do this, you risk ending up with a bloated product that has many features to support, even though some of them are barely even used. You'll notice this approach results in denying most suggestions, but that's perfectly fine. Most users understand you can't apply every single idea and won't slam the door and leave just because a suggestion they posted wasn't implemented. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell to get an update when we release our next video addressing a burning WordPress product development issue. See you next time.